Imagine this. You are at a party, and someone asks you that innocent question. What is your favorite color? Everyone else has an answer ready: blue, green, black. They say it with confidence, like it means something about who they are, but you freeze. Not because you do not care, but because the question itself feels impossible to answer. You look at colors and see them all as equal. No hierarchy, no preference. Just colors existing in the world doing their thing. Welcome to the psychology of people who do not have a favorite color. And trust me, this reveals way more about your brain than you think. Most people assume having a favorite color is universal, like everyone is just walking around with this built-in ranking system for the spectrum. But here is the reveal. If you do not have a favorite color, you might be what psychologists call a low-need foreclosure person. That is not a diagnosis. That is a personality trait. It means your brain does not crave definitive answers. You are comfortable with ambiguity, with options, with the idea that things do not need to be ranked or categorized to have value. While other people need to box the world into favorites and hierarchies, you are out here living in a state of perpetual openness. No labels, no commitments, just vibes. The mechanism behind this is rooted in how your brain processes preferences. For most people, a favorite color forms early, usually in childhood. It gets linked to memory, identity, and emotion. Maybe blue reminds them of the ocean. Maybe red was the color of their childhood bedroom. The brain creates these associations and locks them in. But for you, that lock never clicked. Your brain did not attach emotional weight to one color over another. It is not that you lack emotion. It is that your emotional wiring does not prioritize these symbolic anchors the same way. You see color as functional, aesthetic, contextual, not as a personality statement. Here is the takeaway. Not having a favorite color does not mean you are indecisive. It means you refuse to simplify complexity. And in a world obsessed with labels and categories, that is actually a flex. Now imagine this. You are scrolling through an interior design app. Everyone in the comments is arguing about whether sage green or terracotta is superior. Meanwhile, you are sitting there thinking both look fine depending on the room. You do not have a horse in this race. You are not team anything. And honestly, the whole debate feels exhausting. This is where it gets interesting. People without favorite colors tend to score higher on something called integrative complexity. That is a fancy way of saying your brain is wired to see multiple perspectives at once. You do not reduce things to binaries. You do not pick sides easily. You see the gradient, the spectrum, the nuance. The reveal here is that this trait is linked to creativity and problem solving. Studies show that people who can hold multiple viewpoints simultaneously without needing to collapse them into one answer are better at innovation. Why? Because they do not force conclusions. They let ideas coexist. They explore, they adapt. While someone with a favorite color might default to that shade in every scenario, you are out here considering the lighting, the context, the mood. You are running a full simulation in your head. That is not overthinking. That is cognitive flexibility. The mechanism is about brain chemistry and upbringing. Some researchers believe that early exposure to rigid structures creates a need for favorites. If your parents constantly asked you to choose, to rank, to have an opinion, your brain learned to form those attachments. But if you grew up in an environment where preferences were fluid, where choices were not tied to identity, your brain stayed open. Add in a naturally low dopamine response to symbolic meaning, and boom, no favorite color. Your brain just does not get that hit of satisfaction from declaring allegiance to a hue. Here is the takeaway. You are not missing out on some core human experience. You are just operating on a different frequency. And that frequency is actually an evolutionary advantage in a world that changes faster than anyone can keep up with. Imagine this. Someone shows you a personality quiz. One of the questions is, predictably, what is your favorite color? You skip it. Or you pick one at random just to move forward. Because the truth is, the question feels reductive. Like asking you to define your entire vibe with one wavelength of light. And deep down, you know that any answer you give would be a lie. Not because you are dishonest, but because the framework itself does not fit your brain. This is the part where people start to feel like NPCs in their own life. But you are not an NPC, you are just refusing to follow the script. The reveal is that people without favorite colors often resist identity markers in general. They do not base their personality on one band, one aesthetic, one political label. They reject the idea that you have to be one thing. This is tied to a psychological concept called identity fluidity. It means your sense of self is not fixed, it evolves, it adapts. You do not feel the need to commit to a single version of yourself, because you understand that people are not static. You are not a brand, you are a human being with shifting moods, contexts, and phases. A favorite color would be a limitation, a box. And your brain naturally resists boxes. The mechanism here is about cognitive load and decision fatigue. Some brains simplify the world to save energy. They create shortcuts, favorites, defaults, go-to answers. But your brain does not do that with color, because it does not see the value in it. To you, every decision about color is contextual. What are you wearing? What room are you painting? What emotion are you trying to evoke? You are not cutting corners. You are engaging with the full complexity of the choice. That takes more mental energy, but it also means you are more present, more intentional, more alive to the actual moment instead of running on autopilot. Here is the takeaway. While everyone else is on cruise control with their default answers, you are actually thinking. And that is exhausting sometimes, but it also means you are not sleepwalking through life. Now imagine this. You are shopping for a car. The salesperson asks what color you want. You shrug. They look at you like you just glitched, because in their world, everyone has a preference, but you do not. You will take whatever color makes sense. Whatever is available, whatever fits the context. And they cannot compute that. They think you are being difficult. But really, you are just being honest. You do not care about the color of the car. You care about whether it drives well. The reveal is that people without favorite colors are often more pragmatic. They do not let aesthetics override function. They do not attach meaning to things that do not need it. This is a trait that frustrates marketers, by the way. Because the entire advertising industry is built on making you feel like your color choice says something about who you are. But you see through that, you know it does not matter. A blue shirt and a black shirt are just shirts. The color is not your identity. It is just light bouncing off fabric. The mechanism is about emotional detachment from consumer culture. When you do not have a favorite color, you are less likely to fall for branding tricks. You are not loyal to a color palette. You are not building a wardrobe around one aesthetic. You are fluid, adaptable, unpredictable, and that makes you harder to manipulate. Your brain does not form those deep emotional connections to arbitrary visual stimuli. You are free in a way that people with favorite colors are not. Here is the final takeaway. Not having a favorite color is not a flaw, it is a feature. It means your brain refuses to simplify what does not need simplifying. It means you see the world as it actually is. A complex, shifting, contextual mess of variables. And while everyone else is clinging to their blue or their red like it is a life raft, you are out here swimming free. No anchors, no commitments. Just you and the full spectrum of possibility. And honestly, that is the realest way to live.